So by now you've probably witnessed the atrocity of the Oklahoma SA video. You also probably saw the media take hold of it and strike back.
You saw the universities and the fraternities scramble to save face.
In an effort to distance themselves from racial intolerance, they've actually infringed on others' personal freedoms.
The University of Georgia hoop skirt ban is unconstitutional because it infringes on certain fraternities' freedom of expression.
The ban should not be allowed because one, it targets only those in the Greek community. 2, it does so by prohibiting a piece of clothing that is not inherently racist. And 3, it restricts the expression of an organization's historical roots, not because the display is offensive, but because it has fallen out of favor.
The first aspect of any debate over freedom of speech is that you establish there's one group of people who's allowed to express themselves while another is held back. Rather than being a campus-wide ban to remove hoop skirts from all facets in all communities, it targets only certain fraternities. Online Athens quotes UGA and Greek leaders saying that with the ban, hoop skirts are not appropriate in the context of some events. These some events happen to just refer specifically to SA's Magnolia Bowl and KA's Old South. But what defines some events? It could relate to anything and in any context.
So out of 26 fraternities, 17 sororities, and over 600 organizations in the UGA Center for Student Organizations, really only 2 are targeted by this ban.
While the ban targets these groups, we have found no evidence that hoop skirts have any real connection to racially intolerant acts. Hoop skirts should be defined as a historic piece of fashion, a relic of a time gone by, not a historical tool of racism. Equating hoop skirts to the Confederate Party and its ideals is like saying a Renaissance fair promotes persecution and torture. Renaissance fairs are a gathering of people to celebrate the cultural accomplishments of post-medieval Europe through music, food, and traditional clothing. While this time is celebrated, severe torture such as burning homosexuals and adulterers at the stake and quartering heretics was legal and commonplace in this time. But this doesn't mean that you need to drop your fried chicken leg and flowing dresses. Nor should you be denied expression of antebellum Southern culture due to the history of the Confederacy.
Janice Ryan, a renowned dress consultant, said that hoop skirts are deemed a fashion necessity. She states the traditional hoop skirt design allows users to have an elegant posture and a sense of awareness of your person in the moving parts at all times. This hoop skirt design is not just limited to the antebellum South. More importantly, in fact, they date back all the way to the Victorian age, which is also known as the hoop era. So, to identify these hoop skirts as a symbol of racial intolerance is very narrow-minded and illogical.
So now that we've proven that hoop skirts are not inherently racist, let's talk about why this ban is ineffective. Some say that the hoop skirt ban was implemented to stop racial intolerance, but instead it promotes the restraint of our First Amendment right without even addressing the problem of racism at hand.
This ban does not address the true issue of pervasive racism at hand. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a stab wound. The injuries racism has inflicted on this country and its people run far deeper than the surface level of our social, economic, and legal systems. Forcing people to change what they wear, especially when it's debatably racist, is like the Band-Aid. And the outcry, the angry debate, the outpouring of more blood is the only possible reaction to such a flimsy measure. What this great community, university, and country needs is a fundamental reevaluation of its operating procedures, not its formal attire. It needs pressure and an ER, not a Band-Aid and a first aid kit.
Thank you. As a public state-chartered institution, UJ should be especially careful to be following the U.S. Constitution. Justice Thurgood Marshall, the first African-American Supreme Court justice and a valiant defender of the First and 14th Amendments, stated, under the Equal Protection Clause, not to mention the First Amendment itself, government may not grant the use of a forum to people whose views it finds acceptable, but deny the use to those wishing to express less favored or more controversial views. Expressing one's Southern antebellum roots carefully while avoiding racism has fallen out of favor, but letting the government restrict that expression cannot be allowed.
So as you've just heard, the ban targets only a small group of people. It targets something that is not inherently racist, and it thus fails to accomplish anything but infringe on people's freedom to express themselves.
The UGA hoop skirt ban is unconstitutional because it does not allow these fraternities to express their roots, which are so important to them. This is not because the fashion is racist. It's more importantly, the expression is politically intolerant.
Why give up our first and most fundamental American and human right of expression to support a policy which will only provide an insignificant and glancing blow to the deeper problem of intolerance at hand? Intolerance will only be fixed through open discussion and peaceful debate, not banning formal attire.
All right. Also, for those of you that hate group work, I would like to let you know that if we were doing this the way everyone else is doing it, we would have 3 more days of persuasive speeches to sit through. Whereas now we are done. One day of persuasive speeches, not 4. So just think about that. If we had 3 more days of just this, okay? Votes. So if you didn't debate the adoption, raise your hand if you think there should be preference for racially coherent adoptions. White parents adopt white kids. People of mixed race adopt. I'll go ahead and vote for it just to make everyone feel better. If you think that we should give preferential treatment to matching race in adoptions. If you think that we should not give preferential treatment, so just whoever wants to adopt, adopts. Yeah. Interesting. Did anybody change their mind about that, or did you really not have strong opinions prior to?
I was persuaded to the other side, but I didn't change.
Okay.
Definitely like more.
That's good. Yeah, I'll take it. How about hoop skirt ban? Who is pro ban? No hoop skirts. I'm pro ban on that. I don't buy the argument that a hoop skirt's a freedom of expression. I don't buy that. I do buy the argument the university's covering their ass though. So then opposed ban? All right. Okay.